Hello, Revere, and welcome to another show with our people running for office. Today I have a great honor to have the former mayor of Revere, Dan Rizzo. Mayor, thank you for coming. I don't mean to give you the motion now, but you're running for the council at large.
Yes, I am.
What made you decide that decision?
Well, of course, I served in office for the last 16 years, 12 on the city council and 4 as mayor. And I've enjoyed my service to the city. I've enjoyed working with people like yourself.
Thank
you. People from really all walks of life across the city. And as I had some time to think about it, it made sense for me to think about getting back involved. And city council is a job that I did for 12 years, and I think I can help the city by maybe coming back, and if I'm fortunate enough to win a seat, serve the public in the way that I have over the last many years.
Right. Before we continue, I would like to say, as a military man, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you for your service.
Okay.
You know, I served during the Middle East crisis back in Grenada and the Marine suicide bombers and things like that.
You mean the ones in Lebanon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the primary. That was the primary location of my service, but you were a World War II veteran.
I was not in the actual combat. See, I am a World War II veteran, that's correct, but I want to give credit where credit is due. The ones that fought in the Battle of the Bulge in Africa, Europe, the Pacific, they are the real World War II veterans. I got in with the Army of Occupation. I was 17 at the time. The war was over.
You know, Mars,
Truman is what made me a
I truly believe this. I mean, you know, we've got wars going on today. Okay,
please.
So anybody that signs their name on the dotted line at any time in our country's history
that I agree with you.
Is a true warrior. And
I agree with you.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, your service was as valued as anybody else's service because you were prepared to go wherever they sent you.
Exactly.
And and like so many other of our veterans, when they sign and they go through basic training or officer candidate school, they're ready to go wherever the military sends them.
Exactly.
In whatever branch they might be serving in. So thank you for your service as well.
You're welcome, and thank you for yours too. I'd like to start off by starting off now. First of all, you were mayor during the snowstorm we had and the hurricane we had that time in 2015, correct?
Correct.
You did an excellent job. Within a few days, the streets, which were full of trees. I mean, there was more. I thought they were going to film a Tarzan movie there. That's how bad it was, really.
Yeah.
Loaded with trees on every street there. Within a few days, it was all gone, and the traffic was back to normal again. So thank you from me and the people of Revere.
Yeah, we definitely had some challenges. You know, we had the Suffolk County's first ever recorded tornado.
That's right.
You know, something that, of course, we didn't expect, and I'm quite sure none of our residents expected. And then 6 months later, we got hit with the worst winter in Massachusetts recorded history with 9 feet of snow in 45 days. So people weren't too happy, you know, and but we tried to respond as best as we could.
Excuse me, Mayor, but how did that affect the city budget, really? It must have cost a fortune to take care of those things.
Well, it was. I mean,
and it wasn't in the budget at all.
Of course not. I mean, these natural disasters you can never plan for, and certainly not something you budget for. With the tornado, unfortunately, because it was such a short, you know, it damaged 1,500, you know, pieces of property and 7 public buildings. It's a lot of property for us.
Right.
But as far as FEMA is concerned, or even the Massachusetts Emergency Management Association, it wasn't enough to trigger any funding. So we really didn't get any extra funding for that. And when it came to the snowstorm, we didn't get any money for that either. But I will say this. We handled that snowstorm pretty well financially. We spent about $2 million, and if you take a city, and I'll just use this as an example, Somerville, that geographically is about the same size as us, they spent $12 million. We spent $2 million. So I think we did a pretty darn good job controlling expenses for what was going to have to be paid by the taxpayers, but also keeping in mind our number one priority, which is keeping our streets clear and clean, certainly for emergency vehicles, you know, fire apparatus and, you know, ambulances, things like that. So
Here's a question I have for you off the computer here. What would you have liked to accomplish that you did not get accomplished while you were in office? I mean, what would you, Broadway is coming along beautiful, they say. Broadway looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
It does.
well, we wanted to bring the same level of beautification and aesthetics to various parts of the city. I mean, you know, when I left office, we had finished the first part of Broadway, which is all we had the money for at that time, to go from the south end of Broadway all the way up to Cushman Ave. Right. And we had received, thankfully, through the governor's office, a Mass Works grant to finish Broadway from Cushman Ave all the way down to Brown Circle. So I had left the new mayor $2.5 million to finish that. And I'm glad to see some of that work is getting done, you know. And also money was left in the budget to finish the walkway to go over to the Hill School from Broadway through the fire, you know, through the fire station, and also to redo, which I know is near and dear to you and many people at the senior center, to redo the parking lot at the municipal lot on Central Ave. And I don't know if that's been done yet. I haven't been down there, but hopefully that's been done because there was money in that Mass Works grant to get that done. But as far as other things we wanted to get done, I mean, it would take too long than the 30 minutes we have to go through the things that I wanted to get done. But I'm proud of the things that we did get done, and we got it done in spite of the challenges that we have. I mean, that we had. You know, of course, the casino, that was something that we never expected when I began to take office, and it divided the city. There's no question about that. You know, there were people that were certainly for it, and there were people that were against it. And we you know, I had to deal with that whole situation that lasted 2.5 years, and of course the natural disasters, and then, you know, try to get things done. You know, we got the new stadium done with close to $3 million, $2.72 million to kickstart
Beautiful
that.
job, yep.
And the Hill School with 80% funding from the state. So, you know, Broadway with the Mass Works grant, and Market Basket with the tax increment financing to rejuvenate Northgate. So I think in spite of a lot of the challenges that we had and the abnormalities that we had to deal with under a normal mayoral term, we were able to get some things done. And I'm very proud of the work that my administration did. You know, the public thought that it was time for change, and I can respect that. And but, you know, of course, I want to try to get back involved. And if the public thinks that, you know, maybe I did add some value to the city and, you know, elected government, then hopefully they'll give me another chance.
Right. You know, Mr. Mayor, a lot of people don't know this here. And I like to say it. When I was hosting this TV Revere Veterans Community Show, you had some computers that you had received, I believe, from Samsung.
Yeah, from Google.
Google. And you came up with a terrific idea, which I thought was one of the best ideas because it made me feel good. You said, why not give one to each veteran? You had so many that you could give, and you gave me, I believe, 12 or 13 of them.
Yes.
And you said, give them to the veterans as they come on your show. So as they did come on the show, I did give them to the veterans. And then there was a couple of kids that did the work at the senior center. 6 of them that did the work. And I had them come on the show, and I told them, as a gift before you go back to school, they were shocked. So I gave them a book. I told them it was from, I mean, the Chromebook, I told them it was from Mayor Rizzo. They were still surprised. But one of the girls that still goes to school that we gave the computer a couple of years ago, she comes over to me. She works at the senior center, and she says, Morris, it's the best thing that you ever gave me for my education, because everything she wants to know comes right off this book. So I want to thank you for giving it to the vets. I want to thank you for giving it to the school kids. And I also want to thank you for giving one to yours truly.
Well, I know you've certainly put yours to good use.
Oh, did
and
I ever?
know, yeah, and I know that others have too. And that was what you're referring to is is an award that the city won. We won one of 3 awards that were given out throughout the country. We were considered the small city award. There was a large city, medium-sized city, and small city that were competing for awards in what was called Get Your Business Online through Google and the United States Conference of Mayors. And we put our noses to the grindstone, and we worked at it, and we got the Chamber of Commerce involved, and we got the high school involved.
Right.
And we were able to win that award, which was a $50,000 technology award. And we had, I don't know how many Chromebooks, my former chief of staff, Miles Lane Kennedy, could probably tell you, but we had many, many Chromebooks that they gave us, along with a couple of kiosks that we put strategically throughout the city. But it was very helpful in giving people online presence with people like yourself, people like veterans, people like kids that didn't have access to a notebook or a laptop. So I'm very, very proud of the city's efforts in winning those awards. And, you know, those are the type of things, you know, it's funny, when we would go to conferences, which we only go to 1 or 2 a year, but we always wanted to make it worthwhile for the city. And to win that $50,000 award, I only had 4 years to serve, unfortunately, but to win that $50,000 award was really, I think, extremely beneficial for so many people, not just us morale-wise, because we were thrilled that we were able to get so many businesses online through Google. But it was great to be able to give people access to get online, and people you wouldn't think even back in 2013, 2014 that didn't have access. So, you know, we were happy to do that.
I got to tell you, I would never go near these things because as a senior, we were afraid of it. Really, we were dumb. But this made it so easy for us to learn, and, you know, I've made thousands of people happy and maybe thousands of people miserable too by playing the music with them. So,
you know what? I see you on Facebook. My mother's on Facebook. I see, you know, so many people that have been able to engage through the power of the internet and the power of, you know, instruments like the Chromebook and other notebooks and other, you know, devices that now today, I mean, everybody's holding their internet access right in their hands today. So, but, you know, I see you whenever I go over the senior center. You've got all your music queued up there.
it's right on here.
And think about how many people on a given day over there, when you have a crowded room, that you're able to make happy playing your music in the background there.
And you know what we do there? People don't realize this. I wish more people would come down to the senior center. I just don't play the music. I play your music. You come over to me, you tell me what you like, 2, 3, 4 songs, you give me the name of the artist, we punch it in there, and we play it, and it brings back a lot of memories. And let me tell you, music is the best medicine for elderly people as well as young people.
There's no question about it. It's good for the soul. And I give you a lot of credit, Morris, for the work that you do over there. So
let me right now, what I'd like to talk about, there's a lot of new residentials coming into the City of Revere, going to create traffic problems. If you were on the city council, how would you talk about them?
I would handle it the same way that I thought I handled it as mayor. I mean, one thing that I think people don't realize, my administration did not authorize one large-scale development during my administration that hadn't been pre-authorized. What you're seeing today, to me, is unprecedented. You're seeing lots of permitted projects going up with either no parking or not enough parking. I had asked the city council before I left office to pass a moratorium on any large-scale development that would impact the city's infrastructure, traffic, and so on, public safety. They voted it down. And not 3, 4, 5 months after I left office, they were going up and approving every large-scale development that came before them. And I have to be honest with you, it's extremely frustrating to watch. If they had approved that moratorium that I had asked for, it would have given us time to study our antiquated zoning ordinances and to put protections in place for residents that have been here for a long time. And we were already, you know, John Festa, myself, Frank Stringy, we were already in place with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. We were already in, it was ongoing. It was called Plan Revere. And it was basically bringing in the public, bringing in neighborhoods to comment on what they wanted to see with respect to zoning, you know, as far as open parcels that were there now or any redevelopment that might take place. It was you know, it was a pretty significant project that we wanted to go forward with and basically stop in its tracks any proposed development. And you know, I remember, God rest his soul, Bob Hass had asked me when I proposed this, he said, what made you change your mind now in terms of development? And I said, I really didn't change my mind, but as I'm going across the city, I'm hearing from people enough with the apartments and enough with the residential development. And you know, that's part of being an elected official, is to listen to the public. And so that was the reason that we proposed the moratorium. And for whatever reason, the mayor and the city council did not go forward and approve it. So that will be a challenge for me when if I return to the city council, to try to slow or stop this onslaught of development and take a step back and study what we have.
Now, Mr. Mayor, I live on Standish Road.
Right.
Shores was right behind me, the creek and then Shores. The people on Standish Road did not want the housing that's going up there now with the hotel. But that's going up now 6 stories. Of course, I'm 88 years old, so I'm not going to, I remain neutral because it's not going to affect me because my years are short. But the people that are in their 30s and 40s who got a long life ahead of them, it will affect them. But someone wants to me, what's going to happen across the street at Suffolk Downs? Do you have any idea what might be going on there?
Well,
or anything in the stages that you know of?
I mean, certainly if I was mayor, I would make it my business to know what's going on, and I would make it obviously very, you know, public.
Is the racetrack dead? Let me ask you that.
The racetrack is dead.
It is dead?
The racetrack is dead. They have another 2 or 3 years of racing, but it's been bought by a firm out of New York.
And they're not going to keep racing there?
To my knowledge, they're not going to keep racing. My goal was always to keep racing there.
I know
mean,
excuse me, you worked very, very hard to get the casino here. We thought we had it. I thought you had it. The people thought you had it. And at the last minute, we failed. I failed.
Yeah, and of course it was disappointing. I mean, you know, if you just take it on its face, Mohegan Sun up against Steve Wynn, it's a, you know, it's a tough competition. I mean, but, you know, when you think about location, I mean, how can you compete, or how is there any discussion between Suffolk Downs and a toxic waste site in Everett? It just doesn't make sense to me, and it will never make sense to me. But it's over. That fight is over. I mean, we have to move on, because Revere is still the same great city it was that it was when I was elected in 2011.
When the racetrack goes, let's say it goes,
yeah,
and the chances are it's going to go. What are they going to build there? A big, like plaza, you know, like they have on Northgate?
Morris,
a big one?
Morris, you're talking about 160 acres.
No, is that what the city owns?
No, the city owns about 40 acres, 42 acres.
That's still a lot of acres.
It's a lot of acres. It's about the size, it's a little bigger than Wonderland. And that's another site that needs to be developed.
I was going to bring that up, but you beat me to it.
You know, we've got to be very careful, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to slow the large-scale development, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to put a moratorium in place, so that nobody could do anything at any of these, particularly these major, you know, these large parcels, without the city being protected. And So I'm a little fearful right now what might happen over the next couple of years. You know, the public was always, the people, not so much the people that were for the casino, but the people that were against it. One of the major things I always heard was traffic. And I always used to try to tell people, look, no matter if there's no casino there, don't think there's not going to be something there that's going to cause some traffic.
Right.
There'll be some traffic. You know, it's 160 acres. You're going to see some traffic there. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter. You don't want a casino, that's okay. But you're going to get some traffic when this thing is finally developed. And, you know, now it's a matter of what gets developed there. And I would want to make sure that the city is protected. And, you know, I've always had, you know, and I've said this publicly before, I've had a great relationship with Mayor Walsh in Boston. We were already having some preliminary discussions, and, you know, God willing, I'd love to have some more conversations with him going forward and let him know what Revere finds most desirable. But you're going to find, no doubt in my mind, a mixed-use concept over there in that development. It's 2 train stations on either side. You're certainly going to get some residential. There's no 2 ways about that. And hopefully, and I'd love to see this mostly in Revere, a commercial component where you see something like Marketplace that's up in Linfield right now, or, you know, something of that concept, that we get the commercial tax dollars and not necessarily the residential tax dollars that adds to the school population and the overcrowding and things like
The
that.
infrastructure and everything.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you, let's see, I got to get into this. You were mayor at the time, but there was no problem what I was going to mention to you. I mentioned to you about the railings on the senior center as you go up. Someone mentioned to me there was a free cash fund. I don't know what that means, but can money be taken out of that, which wouldn't cost much, to help fix those minor problems? Because if someone does fall and gets hurt, the city might have a lawsuit on their hand.
There's no question. I mean, free cash can be used for anything.
Oh, it can?
Free cash is simply money that's left over at the end of the year from the budget that wasn't spent. So in other words, we budget every year, and at the end of the year, if you budget right and you don't overspend, there's leftover money. I mean, we were fortunate that we almost tripled the amount of money that was in our rainy day fund, most of which came from...
Is that the same as the free cash right here?
Well, no, stabilization is a little different, but most of stabilization comes from free cash. Free cash is what, you know, you did a good job budgeting, so you left over money.
Right.
I mean, I found it a little unfortunate that that we didn't, last year they didn't even account for free cash, which was a little troubling to me. So they carried it forward to this year, and they budgeted 2 years of free cash and added another couple of $1 million, and then had to use some to balance the budget. But you know, we were always very cognizant of trying to have enough free cash there in case we ever hit bad times. Now, to answer your question, can you use that money to help fix a problem over at the senior center? You absolutely can.
Can I have your word if you're elected then, a councilman at large for the city of Revere, that you would pass an agenda to see that we do get it, or try to help us get it?
You have my word that if I don't get elected, I will advocate for you guys, because
Thank
you. Senior programs have always been near and dear to me.
You're almost up there at senior yourself pretty soon.
I'm going to be there in another 7 or 8 years.
God
So
bless
I'll
you,
be,
Danny.
yeah. So I'll be joining the ranks. But you know, I absolutely would advocate for funds being spent to fix. You're not even what you're talking about is a safety issue.
Exactly.
It's not something, you know, can you implement a program to make things a little better over there? This is a safety issue. And, you know, like public safety, whether it be police and fire or just infrastructure, that's a no-brainer for me.
I talked about the front of the senior center. Have you ever been in the back of the senior center?
Yeah, of course I have.
Okay. You know what that saw drain is?
Yeah.
Sometimes that cover is open and loose. And I always think someday we're going to lose a senior over there, really. I mean, not a chubby one, but a little one like right down there, you know what I mean? That parking lot has to be hot topped and fixed and leveled off so you work. People have tripped there. They just haven't said anything. But we've picked people up that have fallen there.
Yeah. I mean, if that information, I mean, of course, hindsight's 20/20. I wish a lot of that had been brought forward to me.
Nobody mentioned it to you, but...
No. I remember there were times, particularly after that horrible winter we had, where people had said, we got a lot of potholes and fix those. But, you know, if I ever had a period of time where I could sit and actually think things through and not have to be a crisis manager, that would have been a great project to take on, just... you know, basically resurfacing that area behind the senior center.
The city did a beautiful job on the roof up there. You know what, they fixed the roof.
Yeah, well, that had to be done.
Really?
That had to be done, yeah.
To keep the water
and that's, you know, Morris, that's something that is going to, you know, there's always, you know, the city's always going to be a work in progress.
Definitely.
You know, we were able to fix the roof in the senior center back in 2015.
Right.
But that's going to need to be replaced or repaired in 2025, you know? So it's always going to be a work in progress.
So it's an ongoing cycle then.
Of course it is. Everything, you know?
Right.
Like you look at the DPW now, it's a disgrace. I left a folder on my desk when I left office to put a couple of trailers out there to take the public works employees out of those deplorable buildings and put them in trailers. And of course that's never happened. It's almost 2 years now. And they're really, I mean, you know, the time has come for them to get into trailers while we can identify funding to get a new public works facility. But, you know, I'm not in a position right now
Danny,
to
you're going to have to forgive me. If my eyesight is correct, take a minute to wrap it up because that's all we got left.
Well, I just want to thank the public for all that they have done for me over the years. It's been an honor to serve them, and you know, my hope is that on November 7th, there'll be enough people here in the City of Revere that will come out and support my candidacy for City Council and let me continue my service to the city because I enjoy it. It's always been a passion of mine to help people and help our community that we live in. So, Morris, again, I want to thank you for having me.
It was
an
honor and a pleasure.
I want to thank you for your service.
And let me say to you, thank you for coming, and good luck to you. God bless you, Danny.
God bless you, too.
And God bless the City of Revere, the people of Revere. Especially God bless our troops, but most of all, God bless our great country, the United States of America.